What's up, guys? We have a game against Kangaroo Rules, 1990 from Australia. As you can tell by the graph, it was a very even game for a really long time. He had small advantage, I had small advantage. Then, 25 seconds on my clock, I threw the game in a two move blunder, um, which was pretty pathetic. So, let's look at the game. D4 by me, D5 by him, C4 by me, Queen's Gambit. Queen's Gambit declined by them. Knight f3, developing my piece toward the center. Them developing their piece toward the center. I'm pinning the knight. I mean, you can obviously develop your knight first. I'm just messing around with move order for no reason. He breaks the pin with his bishop and develops and prepares castling. Now I develop my knight, apply some pressure to the center, develop a minor piece. Now he develops his knight into d7, developing his second knight. I go e3, opening up my light square bishop so I can castle. He asks my bishop if I want to trade or if I want to retreat. I choose to retreat and stay on this diagonal. He castles. Apparently this is all still book. Now I develop my bishop to its active square, and it says this is the last book move, move 8. Alright, not bad, move 8. He throws in c5. How many times do we get this Tarish thing? I ignore it and I castle. He goes b6 so that he can develop his bishop somewhere, which is his last minor piece. I develop my rook to which should be an open file at some point, a c file. Just getting my army into the game. There's no reason to start trading just because you feel like you don't know what to do. He vienketos his bishop because this will easily open up. You don't have to now, but my pieces are well placed. So I take in the center. He recaptures with the knight, opening an attack on my bishop, which is double hit. So I have to do something. I could take the bishop, or maybe not. You take the bishop, he takes the knight, you get a queen, he gets a queen. And you could desperado, he could desperado. He'll probably be up a pawn at the end. But either way, I want to keep my bishop, so I went bishop g3, leaving his bishop staring into space. And I'd much rather be on this diagonal, which hits the center. So now he recaptures in the center, but this just opens up my rook. I choose to take on an isolated queen's pawn. I could have taken with the knight and kept my pawn structure intact, but I decided let's go for the IQP and try to play it. He goes to the c file with his rook, staring down at my rook. Makes sense. Yeah, here I brought my bishop back because one of the ideas that I like to do is to put the queen in front and just aim here just for long-term pressure. It's annoying to deal with throughout the entire game. And also by retreating my bishop, I'm opening up the D line for my queen, extra protection for the pawn. For some reason he takes my knight, hardly forced, he just chooses to do it. I recapture with my rook just to stay more active with my pieces. And he develops his knight here. He's supposed to control the square in front of my isolated pawn, so he's doing that very well. And I'm not controlling the square in front of it at all, even a single time. So there's that. Now I develop my queen and set up this pseudo threat. I can always try to kick the knight. It does walk directly into this, but still, it was still the best, most active move in my position. I choose to go here, which I don't like this decision in hindsight. It does look like it hits this pawn, but this pawn is super easy to defend, and even if you could take it, your queen is super offsides. I don't know, maybe if you were guaranteed to take it, but it's easily defensible. So let's see. Queen e2. I guess it's just like a more centralized square. a6. It's not a good square. You'll see in the game. So he takes the rook. Again, not entirely necessary, but he does it. And then he just takes my knight to ruin my pawn structure, which is fine. I mean, this is ugly, but it's manageable, or it should be. I have the bishop pair. Shouldn't be bad for me. And now he just simply defends the pawn. And my queen doesn't belong here. And the best move is, in fact, to bring it back and create this pressure again. First, I go here. I wanted to pressure the knight a little. I thought it was a slight improvement for my bishop than just being here. But I should have prioritized bringing back my queen. He moves his knight out of the contact and hits this pawn. But this kind of walks into and asks me to play the best move, which is queen d3, which not only protects the pawn, but threatens checkmate on a square your knight was defending, but now isn't. So it seems like just a really bad move for him, even though it seems natural. You jump in here and hit a pawn. It seems normal. But now I get this, and he has to address it. So he plays f5 just to shut it down for good. Makes a lot of sense. And now that my threat is gone, his knight is kind of good here. So I should get rid of it by going c4. But I don't go c4 immediately. I come up with this idea of moving my king over and possibly putting a rook on the g file, creating threats. Now realistically, that's just a dream, because he can always put a piece on f6. And even if I trade, he has the other piece, and I'm not going to really have threats. On the other hand, it looks like things are closed down over here. It looks like, you know, my queen has nothing to do. My bishop is, you know, where else are you going to put it if not here? You know, maybe this bishop can do something like this. But otherwise, there's not too many plans. So I came up with move the king over. Now he puts a piece here. And now I decide to kick the knight. I should have kicked it earlier, but I wanted to keep this structure. I figured it was pretty sturdy, and then I can go start with kingside action. But now I decide to kick it because it is a nuisance. And also if I kick it, I can take here and he can't recapture with the knight. So he goes where I thought he would go, which is hitting the queen. But this isn't a big deal because the knight's loose. So you can just move with tempo, and this is defended. He moves his knight back. He has this one opportunity to take my bishop, when I recapture, jump his knight back and I guess just have permanent pressure on this guy, but that's a little odd. So he retreats his knight, double hitting this, double hitting this. So how do I solve all these problems simultaneously? I also don't want to let him take my bishop and take with a pawn and leave this guy all by himself. So I take his bishop first. He recaptures with the rook so he doesn't ruin his pawn structure. Now he's hit twice. I can only defend it with one move. So I play that move. And now he pushes, but I don't like this move because it lets me push right past him. And the pressure he had here is now gone. And I have a passed pawn, so thank you, Kangaroo. He blockades with the queen, also taking the diagonal, coordinating with a piece, defending a pawn another time. So it's just a good move. And another thing to mention is when I push past, I'm hitting the knight, but I can't take the knight because my rook hangs with check. So he doesn't move the knight. And I actually thought he might move when I played it, knight d4 in here, because it looks like a good square. And I was gonna sack. I was gonna take the knight. Wait, is that good? Oops. No, it's not good at all. Oof, black is crushing there. So the move in case he does that is, wait, f4, because the pawn can't take. If he throws in this guy, then you can just take right here. Oh, interesting. But none of this happened. I pushed my guy. He moved his queen up, pinning the pawn to the rook. I go here, subtly defending my rook, which means this is a threat. Pawn takes knight. So now he moves his knight. And now I move my queen over here just to add a little more presence to these squares in case he gets any ideas of pushing. And also maybe to entice this push. And he does push. But now this creates a permanent weak square here for my pieces. But I do understand wanting the square for your knight. So I move my queen here, threatening to mess with him. So he plugs the hole with the knight and finds a nice square. Now my rook doesn't belong here because what's it doing? So I try to improve it. I'm not entirely sure what it's doing on the G file either, but I figured it might help tie him down, because if he moves the knight, I can infiltrate and maybe I can do some weird tactics at some point, depending what he does. It's a semi-open file, so I guess it's either there or C1 maybe, or A1 and push the A pawn. I don't really know. I could also maybe push this pawn as an anchor. I have no idea. But anyway, he moves his queen, which defends his pawn. I mean, I wasn't going to sack, and it's defended by the king anyway, and the knight. Yeah, the sacking doesn't work, but I guess he was over defending it, and I guess that's the only idea I can really come up with. So now it's hard to know what to do with white. You know, like, how do you make progress from here? There's this funny move where you push this pawn and let him take it so you can get in this check. capture this pawn, but that gets super complicated. Giving up a beautiful pawn for this garbage pawn. I don't know about all that. So instead, I went queen e1, saying, okay, I'll do something else with my queen rather than just sit here all game. So I just moved it, and now I can put my bishop here because I'd rather have my bishop connecting these pawns than my queen. My queen felt kind of, you know, it's too powerful to just plug there. Now he jumps his knight in, creating clear threats, and it looks kind of dangerous for white to have to defend everything, but you simply move the bishop where you wanted to put it, defends everything. It fits in here so perfectly as a blockader too, looking at the king. It's a really nice piece actually. Now he brings his queen in, hitting this and hitting this, hitting this, and this is where I blundered. Boom. And it's a dumb blunder. I played this. What move is this? Move 34. 33 moves of even, logical chess. And then this move, which just he takes the rook. I have to take back, and this pawn's hanging. That's it. 2 moves. Super easy to see. It's a 500 tactic, 500 elo, and that's the entire game. Because he takes it, and then of course it's gonna be checkmate. And that lowered the rating they gave me all the way down to 2100. 2100. It would have been such a good game. But as soon as I get below 3 minutes, I do what I call panic moves. I make panicky moves. So that's okay. With 10 minutes on my clock, I don't blunder rook g6. I hope I don't. Okay, so the kangaroo takes us down with his 90% accuracy. We'll give it to him. We'll give him this one. We'll get him next time. And if I quickly go through the game, okay, the first thing I notice is I don't have to give him an IQP. I don't have to give myself an IQP. And my queen needs to get back into position faster. And probably play in the center, because this whole rook g1 idea is a bit suspicious. Yeah, it's a tough position to find moves in. Yeah, tough position. But alright. We'll claw our way back. We'll get him in the next one on the way to 2100.